Well, hello from Brussels, where the European Union is facing fresh questions over travel, business regulation and the bloc's economic recovery as several important developments emerge across Europe today. First, the EU has indefinitely delayed the introduction of its new ETIAS travel authorization system. Well, this is the European Travel Information and Authorization System that was designed to require visa-exempt visitors to apply online before travelling to much of Europe. But the launch, which had already been postponed several times, now has been pushed back without a new date. Well, earlier, Antonio Buscardini, CEO of Brussels-based Travel Tomorrow, spoke exclusively to A News.
Indeed, it seems that the ETIAS is going to be delayed again. In fact, there is still so far official confirmation, but that's the rumors we hear here in town. So, first of all, it's important to clarify that ETIAS is the pre-agreement to travel. So it's not at all about the border control, because some people with this confusion think that we are talking about the entry-exit system, but it's simply the form that travelers from countries such as the US, Britain, Australia, they should apply in the future to come to Europe. That system is still not approved. Well, there were rumors many times throughout this year that there is no capacity, basically, still in terms of IT and security, in terms of data, to implement this system.
So the European Commission says ETIAS is not currently operating and that no applications are being accepted then, but travellers will be given several months' notice before the system eventually begins. Well, the system is intended to work in a similar way to the United States ESTA system, adding a pre-travel security check for visitors who do not normally need a visa. Now, this latest delay, of course, follows difficulties surrounding Europe's new border systems, with ETIAS dependent on the wider digitalisation of Europe's external borders. Meanwhile, new EU packaging rules are coming under pressure from small businesses in Belgium. The bloc's new packaging and packaging waste regulation has now entered into force, with measures aimed at reducing packaging waste, increasing recycling and restricting certain substances. But Belgian businesses and their organisations are warning that the rules could mean higher costs, additional paperwork and continuing uncertainty, particularly for very small companies. Here's Ilhelm Raziev from the Brussels Times, who broke the story.
These regulations might seem like a good step into the waste management and recycling, but there's not much clear rules on that, and that's the main problem small and medium-sized enterprises face, because even though multinational companies, they can afford to get as many compliance specialists they want, in most of the small and medium-sized enterprises, what we see is that the founder of the company or the director of the company is the compliance director as well. So this looks like from this point now that it will create some kind of problem. But I think the best way to see how those regulations will take place is to just wait and see.
So while supporters say the legislation is designed to tackle Europe's growing waste problem and create common standards, critics argue that smaller firms just will struggle to absorb the cost of changing packaging, complying with new requirements and navigating what they see as increasingly complex regulation. And there's positive economic news for Poland. The European Commission has approved Poland's latest request for around 7.9 billion euros from the EU's post-pandemic recovery and resilience facility. Well, the money is linked to reforms and investment, including projects involving education and transport. Poland's access to the recovery fund, well, it's been given close attention since the change of government in Warsaw and its efforts to meet EU conditions. This latest payment is part of a much larger European recovery programme intended to strengthen economies after COVID while funding the green and digital transitions. And finally, Germany is moving to reform its national carbon pricing system. The German cabinet has approved changes intended to keep the country's carbon price more stable through 2027, as Berlin tries to balance climate policy with pressure on households and industry. Well, the developments underline a broader challenge facing the EU: how to pursue ambitious environmental and digital policies while limiting the financial and administrative burden on European businesses and consumers. At the end of a busy week here in Europe, this is Guy Schoen from Brussels for A News.